Guests on Keel heard via the Jack Spring Electric Keel Newsmaker hotline. The latest to that list of august gentlemen and ladies is State Representative Alan Seabaugh. Hey, Mr. Allen, welcome back to Keel. How you doing?
I'm doing well this morning. How are y'all?
The leadership of both the House of Representatives and the state Senate, that's about to sort of fall into place, if you will. The first question is, when does that take place? How do you do it? Is it done online? Does everybody go down there in January? Tell us about that.
Officially, it happens. We all get sworn in on the second Monday of January, which is January 13th. We get sworn in at 10, and the first order of business at that point is to elect a new speaker. And so that's, it'll effectively happen officially on January 13th. With the exception of 4 years ago in 2016, it's all usually decided about now, or early to mid, between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Well, let's kind of start
there. The Senate has already decided. The Senate, they've already gotten together. A guy has 20 votes, and everybody else is kind of falling out of the way. So the Senate has decided it won't. His name is Paige Cortez from Lafayette.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about him. Republican, obviously, and I'm sure you know him relatively well.
Yeah, his last year in the House was my first. I served 1 year with him in the House. He then moved over to the Senate for 2 terms. And, Paige is a good guy. He's a Lafayette. He obviously, is big with the oil and gas industry. And, he's a good vote. The Senate for the last 4 years, under John Alario and John Bell, it's been really, really hard to be a true conservative. I mean, look at somebody like Barrow Peacock over there doing his best, but, you're just in the small minority. With John Alario leaving, people on my side of the aisle are very, very excited about the future direction of the Senate.
Would it be fair to say that Paige Cortez, future president of the Senate, is independent of John Bell's influence?
Yes, I believe, and you might have to talk to one of the senators to get specifics, but I believe that the votes that actually put him over 20 that got him there was all of the true conservatives in the Senate. Locally Mills and Milligan and Heather Cloud and several of the other newly elected very conservative senators, I believe, were the ones that put him over the top. So I think we're somewhat optimistic, and it's been I'm not aware of the Senate maybe since Romer, the second half of the Romer administration, having a Senate president that was not handpicked by the governor. So we're kind of curious and optimistic that the Senate can maybe follow suit what the House did for the last 4 years.
Okay, on the House side, you were one of the many that was considered to be House Speaker. You're now out of that running, correct?
That's correct. Essentially about 9:30 or 10 o'clock on November 16, when John Bell was declared the winner, that pretty much tanked any chances that I had. If Eddie Rispone or Ralph Abraham had been elected governor, I believe I would be getting ready to be speaker right now.
Why?
Well, John Bell will move heaven and earth to make sure that I'm not speaker.
Okay.
And that's just, and what's happening right now is the House is going through the process, and the House Republicans are going through the process, and essentially they're divided into 2 camps. There's really two candidates left. One is fairly conservative, and one is the leader of the more moderate Rhino wing, and neither one is to 53 yet. The conservative is at about 40. The liberal Rhino wing is at about 20, with 8 to 10 undecided. And I'm rounding.
Those names. Give us those guys.
Sherman Mack and Clay Check-Snyder are the
Correct.
two. Tell us a little bit about each of those gentlemen and their political leanings.
Sherman is the conservative. Just about everybody you would consider a conservative in the House is supporting Sherman Mack, with a couple of exceptions based on personal friendships and geography. But most of the people that you would consider conservative are backing Sherman Mack. Sherman was an assistant DA from Livingston Parish before he was elected. He's been chairman of the Criminal Justice Committee the last 4 years. Very conservative across the board, and has the backing of, like I said, the vast majority, not quite all, but the vast majority of the true conservatives in the House. Clay is from a similar area. I think he's from Ascension Parish. Clay's a nice guy, but his supporters. Really, the problem is not so much with Clay, but who's backing Clay. What happened is Clay was running a distant fourth in the speaker race. And there were two guys that were second and third, and they're two guys that carried the governor's tax bills. A guy named Stephen Dwight from Lake Charles carried the governor's tax bill in one of the specials last year. Stuart Bishop carried the governor's tax bill in the other. These are fairly liberal, fairly moderate at best legislators who couldn't get any traction. They had 6 or 7 votes each. So they got together and said, okay, we can't get there on our own. Let's throw in behind Clay and let's call in all our favors and see what we can do, because they saw themselves being left out of the process. They saw themselves sitting there with 6 or 7 votes each, and they weren't going to be able to get there. So they all went to the duck camp and drafted Clay. Clay had 1 vote other than himself at that point.
Is the governor pushing him now too?
I don't think the governor is getting involved. The Democrats have not spoken. And my take on it, and the problem that I have is every day that the Republicans are not united is a day that allows the governor to step in and break the tie and to tip the balance and to say, okay, I will provide you with enough votes to get you to 53, but if I'm going to do that, I'm going to need A, B, C, X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
And that with 68 Republicans, that's something that we need to avoid. This infighting within the delegation is absolutely ridiculous. It's avoidable. And the result is as predictable as the governor's result. As soon as Eddie Rispone started attacking Ralph Abraham, I think everybody pretty much knew that he wasn't going to win the overall election. It was very predictable. And the infighting among House Republicans right now is potentially going to lead to the same result. If we don't get our act together and get behind one person, then all we're doing is opening the door to the Democrats and the governor to step in and decide when, frankly, with 68 Republicans, you need 53 votes to be Speaker of the House. There's 68 Republicans. We should be able to do this amongst ourselves.
Let me sort of rephrase Aaron's question. Is the possibility that Democrats who would back Schexnayder for the Speaker of the House position, would that sort of make Mr. Schexnayder a little more amenable to gubernatorial influence via legislation?
Well, there's no question about it, and that's the problem. But the problem with that strategy is as soon as some of his supporters realize the only way he can get there is with all of the Democrats and then 15 or 20 Republicans, I think he's going to lose some of his Republican votes. I don't think that coalition will work, to be honest with you. Too many people went through it last year, 4 years ago. They saw the reaction back home in their districts when some Republicans came out to support the governor's choice for Speaker of the House, who was admittedly a Democrat, but still it didn't go well. And so I believe that, in fact, some of the people that say I'm going to vote for Clay on the first round have said, or I'm committed to him right now, have said, if, in fact, the Democrats all throw in behind Clay, then I'm going to fall off. So I don't think that strategy is going to work, but it's the only strategy that they can get there.
Alan, let me ask you, for folks who don't follow the minutia, the day-to-day, how important is who the House Speaker is? What kind of decisions, what kind of actions do they take that lead our state?
Okay, they decide not only who the chairman of each committee is, but who sits on each committee. So you saw what John Alario did 4 years ago. He can stack the committee that hears all tort reform bills with 7 members, 6 of whom were trial lawyers. So you can stack it. If you want to kill insurance reform, if you want to kill tort reform, then, you put somebody like Schexnayder in charge, John Alario last year, in charge of the House, and then he's going to stack the committee with trial lawyers to make sure that it doesn't pass. Or raising taxes, for instance. The Ways and Means Committee vets all tax bills. So if you want a liberal, if you want to raise taxes like the governor usually does, then you're going to want to stack that committee with people that are inclined to raise taxes. And just about everybody that's carried a tax bill in the last 4 years for the governor is in the Schexnayder camp. So, if he's Speaker, you're going to have committees, chairmen, and committees stacked with people that are going to vote for more taxes. Clay carried the gas tax bill. His big supporters, Stephen Dwight carried the governor's tax bill. Stuart Bishop carried the governor's tax bill. So, the people backing him are the people who worked with John Bell, the Republicans who stepped across the aisle and worked with John Bell 4 years ago in an attempt to raise taxes and expand the size and scope of government. So the Speaker of the House gets to pick not only who the chairman of each committee is, but who sits on each committee, and they can stack those committees in such a way to make sure that certain bills pass or to make sure that certain bills never see the light of day.